I was attempting to navigate life following the abrupt conclusion of my marriage, which had lasted over 2 decades. The night was still and cold, a Saturday not long after the divorce papers had been finalized. The quiet in my formerly lively home seemed quite odd, in contrast to the laughter and family traditions that used to brighten our weekends. One of those traditions was our weekly visits to the Starlit Sanctuary, a simple yet treasured place where my husband's son Jasper and I could relax and connect, amidst the warmth and vapor. Following the divorce, Jasper was determined to have the ceremony for just the 2 of us. Initially, I was reluctant to. It was an odd and somewhat melancholic experience to uphold a tradition so closely linked to our fractured family. Yet Jasper persisted. "Come on, Mum," he said, attempting to maintain a cheerful tone while remaining resolute. "We don't have to let everything change." That evening, I finally conceded and began to pack our belongings before setting out. The Starlit Sanctuary remained as serene as always during the winter, with the air inside feeling dense with the calming aroma of cedarwood and steam enveloped me. Upon entering, a comforting warmth enveloped me reminiscent of a long-lost feeling, not only in a physical sense but also in a mental one. It felt like a warm embrace, shielding me from the unforgiving realities beyond. At 22, Jasper had truly transformed throughout the years. He had outgrown the little kid who once splashed around in the small pool, making waves purely for enjoyment. He now stood tall, with broad shoulders, radiating a serene confidence that reflected his maturity. Yet his gentle, familiar eyes retained that inviting warmth. It brought back memories of his father. We nestled into a snug private steam room that exuded warmth without being overwhelming. We lounged next to each other on the wooden bench enveloped in towels and embraced by soothing steam. Jasper finally shattered the stillness, tentatively remarking, "You seem better." His voice carried a hint of doubt. I gave him a look of astonishment, improved following all that has transpired. Our gazes locked for a fleeting instant before he turned his eyes elsewhere. He inhaled deeply and remarked that the past few months have been challenging. I experienced. The steam relaxes my shoulders. I'm uncertain if things have improved, I admitted candidly. Perhaps I'm simply acclimating to it. He nodded, and a gentle warmth spread across his face. "That's quite something," he added. We lingered in a tranquil hush for a moment, the gentle hiss of the steam enveloping the space and soothing my thoughts. After weeks of turmoil, a sense of tranquility washed over me for the first time. Jasper reclined against the wooden wall, and I couldn't help but observe how much he had matured, not only in stature, but also in his emotional depth. He had become my steadfast support during the divorce, consistently present for me, always present for me without needing to ask. As time passed, I recognized how much I cherished these moments with him. The tumultuous and often unforgiving world outside felt distant, and in this snug space, it was just the 2 of us, bound by something more profound than family. "Do you remember how you used to plead to stay in the sauna forever?" I inquired, smiling slightly to ease the quiet. Jasper chuckled, a genuine hearty sound that filled the room with more warmth than any steam could provide. "Yeah, and Dad would typically pull me out of there." I emerged after a mere 10 minutes, convinced that I was on the brink of overheating. I chuckled playfully, ribbing him as he struggled with the intensity too. After months discussing my ex-husband no longer brought pain. For the next hour we moved between the steam room, the pool and the lounge, sharing memories of the good old days. I was amazed at how effortlessly I could converse with Jasper and how our friendship had truly matured. He was more than just my son. He was a true companion as we navigated this strange new chapter of life side by side. As the evening unfolded, As the evening came to a close, we nestled into a snug corner of the lounge, enjoying our tea. Jasper extended his hand and softly covered mine. "You'll be all right," he murmured, his voice calm and reassuring. I fought to keep my emotions in check, taken aback by the depth of his words. "Is that truly what you believe?" I inquired of him. "I'm certain of it," he responded with assurance. "We both will." For the first time in a long while, I truly believed him. Our Saturday nights at the starlit sanctuary became a soothing ritual amid all the chaos. In the weeks that followed, each visit seemed to carry a sense of a sacred moment, a chill-out zone from the chaos beyond, where everything felt genuine and unpredictable. Our tranquil moments were never uncomfortable, but brimming with a mutual energy. It was one of those nights, perhaps the third or fourth since the divorce, when I realized just how much I anticipated spending time with Jasper. He not only helped me unwind, he also created a sense of connection within me. His presence anchored me, providing a reliable reference in a life that frequently seemed chaotic. That night, when I arrived in the steam room, I found him waiting for me, his towel nonchalantly draped over his shoulders. He appeared transformed, more relaxed, and there was a serene assurance about him that genuinely made me feel, for the first time in a long while, that we would be okay. As I approached, Jasper's grin widened, and I found myself smiling in return. Encountering him brought a genuine sense of joy, and it wasn't influenced by the upscale venue. "You're late," he joked, moving aside to allow me entry. I gave an exaggerated eye roll and playfully pushed my way past him. "I brought you here. If I'm late, that's on you both." He smiled gently in the wooden room as we took our places on the benches, steam swirling around and creating a hazy atmosphere. Jasper reclined his head, resting against the wall, and I simply observed him for a moment. I had encountered him in this state previously, yet for some reason, these evenings compelled me to pay closer attention to him. His shoulders occupied the space beside me, radiating a serene strength. He exuded a serene assurance, a level of maturity that felt oddly out of sync with his years. "Are you okay, Mum?" he inquired, breaking into my reverie. His gentle gaze, brimming with the same compassion that had guided me through difficult moments, met my own. I nodded swiftly, pushing my damp hair away from my face. "To be frank, what is the purpose of all this?" He was curious. I expressed to him directly just how much I cherish these evenings spent with you. Before I had a chance to reconsider, I remarked, "It's lovely to share this moment together." He smiled, a heartfelt and sincere grin that made my heart feel constricted. "Yeah," he murmured gently. The atmosphere surrounding us was thick, not unpleasantly so, but as if an unspoken understanding lingered, a truth suspended in the air. I found myself at a loss, uncertain if Jasper shared my confusion. As we transitioned from the steam room to the plunge pool that night, I observed these subtle moments. His gaze lingered on me longer than I anticipated, unaware that I was observing him. As he passed me the towel, our hands lightly touched, and it seemed as though that fleeting moment lingered just a fraction longer than it should have. I repeatedly reassured myself that it was merely a figment of my imagination. Ultimately, it was my son. Despite my efforts to calm my thoughts, an unsettling sensation lingered, suggesting that our relationship was evolving into an unfamiliar territory. By the next visit, I found myself anticipating it with a newfound excitement. Regardless of my efforts to conceal it, I found myself unable to resist this serene thrill. Jasper appeared to sense it as well. He walked into the starlit hangout with a lively bounce in his step, and his excitement was palpable as he guided us to our favorite steam room. As we settled in, the comforting warmth enveloped us, and a deep sense of gratitude washed over me. Outside the chill and unpredictability loomed yet within these walls, it was merely the two of us, enveloped in warmth and steam, where nothing else held significance. That evening, our conversations stretched longer than usual, effortlessly transitioning from cherished memories to our aspirations for what lies ahead. Jasper spoke about his career aspirations and what he hoped to accomplish, his voice brimming with enthusiasm, and his eyes gleamed as he revealed what truly held significance for him. I was completely attentive, utterly enthralled by his words and the way he conveyed them. He truly revealed his true self. "You're incredible. Do you realize that I let it slip without a second thought?" Jasper blinked, and his demeanor shifted. "Oh, come on, Mum," I interrupted him. "I fail to express it often enough. You're an exceptional person, Jasper. Your father and I could not have wished for a more wonderful son." As he gazed at me, it seemed as if time stood still. "You're quite remarkable as well," he murmured gently. "You have endured countless challenges, yet here you are, resilient and unwavering." The way his voice fell on that final word struck me. I trembled. Yet it wasn't due to the chill of the air beyond the steam room. I attempted to express myself, yet the words eluded me, so I simply nodded in response. Later, we found ourselves in the lounge, enveloped in warm blankets and enjoying cups of tea, and I was struck by a profound sense of contentment. Jasper's gaze was fixed on me, his expression enigmatic. Then he suddenly said, "You know, I don't think I've ever felt closer to you than I do right now." I was surprised by the depth of his vulnerability. "Jasper, he began, yet he persevered, his eyes unwavering. "The last few weeks have presented challenges, yet they have also been incredibly rewarding. Being with you during this time makes me feel like I'm truly discovering the essence of who you are." I was at a loss for words. His words and the way he gazed at me carried an essence that seemed to alter everything around us. The boundaries that once defined us began to blur and dissolve. For the first time, I was completely uncertain about my feelings regarding it. The following Saturday, the atmosphere between us had a palpable tension hung in the air, blending our expectations with an unspoken depth that we both hesitated to acknowledge. Jasper welcomed me at the door with his familiar smile, yet this time it appeared gentler, and his gaze lingered on me a bit more than usual. The undeniable spark between us was impossible to overlook, despite my attempts to convince myself it was merely a result of our growing closeness. Everything seemed transformed at the starlit sanctuary. As we returned to our usual pattern of alternating between the steam rooms, it simply felt amiss. In the room with the plunge pool, I sensed a subtle shift in the atmosphere between us. Jasper appeared somewhat more introspective, as if he were carefully considering his words. At last, as we nestled into the couch with our steaming cups of tea, he shattered the stillness. "Hey," he remarked, maintaining a laid-back yet inquisitive demeanor. "Have you ever experienced a massage here?" I gazed at him from behind my cup, taken aback. "No, I have not. What prompts your inquiry?" He shrugged and offered a faint smile. I considered that it could be a worthwhile suggestion. "You appear to be experiencing some stress." The other day I found myself raising an eyebrow because, to be fair, he wasn't wrong. The burden of the divorce and the turmoil in our lives continued to loom large. "Wow, that's unexpected." "Quite intense, isn't it?" I remarked with a soft laugh. "You truly ought to take it easy," he remarked, blending wit with genuine concern. "Allow me to arrange something for you." I dismissed him with a wave. "Jasper, that's not necessary." Yet he remained undeterred. The lightness in his voice contrasted sharply with the gravity etched on his features. "Honestly, allow me to handle this for you." Before I could voice any more objections, he was already taking charge. Jasper engaged in conversation with the receptionist. Upon his return, a broad smile graced his face. "You're all set," he said. But then he hesitated and added, looking somewhat embarrassed, "I may have reserved one for myself as well." I chuckled and shook my head. "Naturally you did." The massage was incredible. The therapist performed miracles, eliminating every tension in my back and shoulders. In the end, I felt unexpectedly buoyant and completely at ease. Jasper sat in the lounge, a wide grin stretching across his face. "Well," he inquired, tilting his head and surveying me. "How are you feeling, Birke?" I replied that I felt as if I could simply float away, which elicited a small chuckle from him. "Good." That was the whole point. Later that evening, as we unwound in one of the cozier steam rooms, Jasper reclined beside me, exuding calm and relaxation. I cast a quick look his way, absorbing the serene aura he radiated and the joyful expression that adorned his features. "You know," I began, shattering the stillness, "you were absolutely correct. That was precisely what I required." He grinned, a playful sparkle dancing in his eyes. "Listen, I understand what's best for you, Mum." I gently nudged him, a warm feeling spreading through me from his words that I couldn't fully articulate. Perhaps I ought to reciprocate. "Just joking. What if I offered to give you a massage sometime?" He lifted an eyebrow, and his smile became gentler. "Are you really offering?" I paused, uncertain why his question caused my heart to race. Why not indeed? Isn't that just how it should be? Jasper stood tall, his eyes narrowing with focus. "You don't need to do that," he said softly. "I simply wished for you to unwind this evening." "I understand." I returned his smile. The atmosphere was quite intimate, yet I felt compelled to proceed with this. "Your support over the past few weeks has been invaluable, so I feel it's only right to give back." At home, the atmosphere was more relaxed, yet an unusual intensity lingered in the air. Jasper truly embraced my offer. He lay stretched out on the couch, his back turned towards me, as I cautiously began to knead the tension from his shoulders, uncertain of the pressure to apply. His cheerful little noises inspired me to persevere, and I felt a greater sense of calm. "Really? Where did you learn that?" he inquired, his voice slightly muffled by the couch. "To be honest, I really didn't." I laughed. "I'm just improvising here." "Well, you're doing quite well." He exhaled softly, easing into my touch. "You're so unnatural." The way he uttered those words, tinged with a sense of wonder, sent a shiver down my spine. I attempted to concentrate on the knots in his back, yet the proximity made it challenging. "Is this helping?" I inquired gently. He glanced over at me. "Yeah." He responded gently. It was quite beneficial. For a brief instant, the room was enveloped in silence, only the gentle hum of the heater breaking the stillness. I found myself speechless, uncertain of how to navigate the depth of his gaze. "Very well," I finally remarked, withdrawing my hands. "That's enough for tonight," Jasper said, sitting up slowly and stretching slightly. "Thank you, Mom," he said kindly. "Really." The air was thick with unspoken words between us. The subsequent week in the starlit sanctuary, though unspoken, the atmosphere was thick with the unvoiced tension evident in the way his eyes held a lingering gaze. I sensed it when his hand lightly grazed mine as he offered me a towel. I reassured myself it was insignificant, that I was merely over-analyzing, yet the warmth in my chest, whenever he glanced in my direction, suggested a different story. Following our customary session in the steam rooms and plunge pools, we made our way back to the massage lounge. This time Jasper refrained from proposing another appointment. He was incredibly relaxed, reclining in his chair. Then he said, "I think I'd like another one of your massages." It completely took me by surprise. I attempted to conceal it, yet he was still able to perceive it. "Oh, is that so?" I said. "Yeah," he said, meeting my gaze. "You're better than the pros." I laughed, but it echoed too much in the stillness of the room. "Flattery will get you somewhere, Jasper." He grinned, exuding a gentle and relaxed vibe. "That's good to hear." Later that night, as I lay in bed reflecting on everything that transpired, I couldn't shake the sense that something had changed between us. The boundaries that once seemed distinct were beginning to fade, leaving me uncertain about how to navigate the situation. I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement for next Saturday. As the day arrived, I found myself delayed due to a work email. As I hurried down the stairs, I noticed Jasper standing by the front door, and my heart fluttered at the sight of him holding roses. "Jasper," I remarked, gazing at the stunning bouquet he held. Composed of white lilies and delicate pink roses, so understated, yet so beautiful. "What's this?" he asked, a hint of shyness in his voice as he shrugged his shoulders. "I truly felt you deserved these. Mum, you've been wonderful lately. I wanted to do something kind for you." I was so moved by what he said, and I felt a lump in my throat as I accepted the bouquet. "You really didn't have to do this," I said, but my smile revealed how much it meant to me. "I wanted to," he replied simply, gazing into my eyes with a sincerity that made my heart race. "Despite everything you've faced, you've remained true to yourself." I struggled to find the right words as my fingers brushed over the soft petals. The petals of the flower were exquisite. I was at a loss for words. Nothing seemed adequate. I placed the bouquet gently on the counter and then turned back to face him. In a moment of instinct, I embraced him, my arms encircling his shoulders in a hug that felt perfectly natural despite the surprise it brought to us both. "Thanks," I murmured against his chest, my voice so soft it was almost a breath. "This means a lot." He drew me nearer, his warmth enveloping me in a manner that felt both comforting and secure. We remained in that embrace for a time, simply holding one another in quietude until he reclined slightly and gently pressed his lips against my cheek. The warmth lingered, creating a pleasant atmosphere that was entirely separate from the steam room we were about to explore. Any time he murmured, his tone tranquil and unwavering. That evening, as we entered the starlit sanctuary side by side, I sensed a change in the atmosphere surrounding us. A sense of intimacy and silent comprehension enveloped them, a connection that had previously eluded their grasp. Each glance, each fleeting brush of his hand against mine, carried a deeper significance. As we navigated our day, as we engaged in our endeavors, each moment seemed to carry greater significance. The steam room enveloped us in silence, brimming with unexpressed emotions. Even the plunge pool water felt warmer, as if it contained some of the tension between us. As we relaxed together with our tea, Jasper extended his arm and gently rested his hand on mine. A gentle touch sent a shiver coursing through me. "You understand," he remarked, shattering the stillness. The highlight of my week is undoubtedly Saturdays. I glanced at him, taken aback by the intensity with which he approached the situation. "Are they?" I inquired. He nodded, and our gazes intertwined. "I understand." We initiated this to maintain a sense of normalcy after all that transpired, but now, he paused, gazing at his hands. "Now they truly hold significance for me." His words hung in the air, weighted with unspoken emotions. I was at a loss for words with this warmth enveloping my chest, so I simply nodded and replied, "They mean something to me too." Later that evening, as we prepared to depart, Jasper drew me away from the crowd just by the entrance. The starlit hangout was nearly deserted, with soft lighting and elongated shadows dancing on the walls, creating a more intimate atmosphere. "Hey," he murmured gently, brushing his fingers against my arm. "I've been meaning to ask, how are you really?" His inquiry took me by surprise. "I'm fine," I replied instinctively, despite the emptiness that lingered beneath my words. "Are you in?" He urged, his gaze probing into mine. "It's perfectly okay if you're not. I just want you to understand that I'm here for you. Always." His sincere tone and piercing gaze truly caught me off guard. A lump formed in my throat, and I could only manage a nod, fearing that my voice would betray me. "Come here," he murmured gently. His voice wrapped around me like a warm embrace, almost bringing me to tears. Before I could utter a word, he wrapped me in another embrace, holding me so closely it made my heart ache. One hand rested at the nape of my neck, his fingers weaving through my hair as he drew me nearer. I shut my eyes and surrendered to him, my cheek resting against his chest. "You're incredible," he murmured, just above a whisper. "I hope you understand." My heart raced, and my thoughts swirled in a tumultuous blend of emotions I couldn't decipher. As he finally drew back, his hands lingered on my shoulders, and his gaze locked onto mine with such intensity that I felt completely immobilized. He leaned in closer and placed another kiss on my cheek. This one extended beyond what was necessary. The caress of his lips sent shivers coursing through me. "Good night, Mom," he whispered gently. I maintained a serene and soft tone. I observed him retreat, my heart pounding as I struggled to comprehend the events that had just unfolded. The boundaries that once seemed so distinct between us suddenly appeared hazy, changing in ways I couldn't fully comprehend. Throughout the week, my mind was consumed by his actions. As I strolled by the flowers on the counter, their vivid hues brought to mind his words, the embrace of his arms, and the gentle warmth of his kiss on my cheek. Everything seemed so straightforward, so genuine, yet essentially crucial. As Saturday approached once more, I felt a blend of anticipation and anxiety. I was completely unaware of what lay ahead or how to navigate our deepening connection. As Jasper welcomed me at the door, his warm smile and affectionate eyes began to dissolve my worries. "Are you ready?" he inquired, his tone bright, yet carrying an unexpected weight of seriousness. I returned the smile and nodded while picking up my bags.